You're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone. Anyone I've ever met.
When I think about my journey as a professional speaker, I think it came down to 5 key pivotal moments. Number 1, Toastmasters. Number 2, finding my mission. Number 3, writing my first book. Number 4, an argument with my boss in public. Number 5, a vice president of sales within my personal network. So let's start from the beginning. When I was in sales many, many years ago, I remember giving presentations and getting up in front of groups like this. Now, I used to sell to hospital executives who sold medical capital equipment. And I have to confess to all of you, I was deathly afraid of public speaking. I mean, to the point where when I would stand up in front of everybody, I would feel like I was in a black hole. I would feel the sweat running down my back and my nerves going full blast. And then came one moment when I completely blew an introduction and a corporate presentation with my boss in the room and our National Vice President of Sales. And that's when I said, enough. And I joined Toastmasters back in 2008. So I want to congratulate all of you because you are in the right place at the right time. I started my journey right here in Chicago, District 30 Toastmasters. So give yourselves a pat on the back. You've taken the first step. But then what happened is, as I was in this medical sales career, I was doing great, things were going well, but I had a great opportunity. I got to be a sales field trainer. So this meant that in addition to doing my full-time sales role, I would go out in the field and work with new hires. I would teach them how to sell the product. I would talk to them about the features and the benefits. I would motivate them and work with them on their sales skills. And I remember thinking, wow, I love this. I found my mission. I thought to myself, if I could teach and train and mentor people full time, I would be the happiest person in the world. So I finally found that my mission was to inspire, teach, and train other people. And I got my lucky break about 2 years later. The person who was the sales training manager at the MedTech corporation I was working at was retiring, and she approached me and she said, Amy, would you like to be the sales training manager? I thought, of course, I would love to be the sales training manager. I was so excited about this opportunity. Now, I went through that opportunity for about 3 years. And I remember when I was the sales training manager, it was awesome. I got to stand up in front of groups like this and do my thing. I got to teach sales training sessions. I got to speak at the national sales meeting. I got to coach, mentor, and help other people get better at selling and building self-confidence in selling. But then, like anything else in life, I got bored. I was ready for the next challenge. And I admit that next challenge for me was a dream. I had a dream of being an independent speaker and trainer and stepping outside of working for somebody else. That's what I really wanted to do. So I took the next big step. I went to a program and I decided I wanted to write a book. Because I thought if I wrote a book about selling, my book From Zero to Sales Hero, I would brand myself as a speaking and selling authority, and I might be able to get clients by showing them I have a book. Then I went to NSA Illinois Speakers Academy because I wanted to learn the business of speaking. I didn't know anything about starting a business of speaking, and I thought it would be a great place to learn. And by the way, we'll talk about it later, but I recommend that to everybody in this room that is serious about starting a business as a speaker. So things were going along, and I have to admit to you, I had an addiction. I had an addiction of every other Friday looking at my phone and seeing that direct deposit in my checking account, also known as my paycheck. You see, I knew that if I left my job, it was going to be uncertain. Where would my next paycheck come from? Would anybody hire me to speak? Would I be good enough for somebody outside of a corporation to pay me to speak? Or some of the questions I was asking myself. So I kept putting it off. I kept telling myself, well, when the time's right, I'll quit my job. When I get a client, I'll quit my job. When I have enough money in the bank account, I'll quit my job. The list went on and on and on. I had a list of excuses of waiting for that perfect moment to quit my job. But then it came down to one morning that I will never forget. Now, when I worked in corporate America, like many of us do, the company I was working for had been bought and acquired and spun off 4 times in 11 years. And the last time we got bought, it was different. The culture started changing. It wasn't as fun and upbeat and happy as it was. And my job of getting up and speaking in front of people slowly started turning into remedial tasks like sitting at my laptop all the time and doing reports. So this one particular morning, I was at the national sales meeting. I wasn't even going to be presenting a session. And my boss and I were doing one of the remedial tasks that I was asked to do. I was setting up handouts at tables for a breakout session. She wanted them to be set a perfect way. She wanted there to be the right amount of people at each table. And in front of a few people, she said a comment to me about the way I was setting up the tables. And I blew up and I said, this is the most unorganized, unplanned session. I don't even know what we're doing here. And I looked around and I saw 5 or 6 people standing there staring at me. Have you ever had a moment when you just want to crawl out of the room? That was my moment. I remember going up to my hotel room and calling my husband, sobbing and telling him how awful it was and how unhappy I was and how frustrated I was. But then I got inspired because I knew I had finally hit my rock bottom at that job. I knew if I didn't get fired, it was time to move on. And I made that decision that day. It was November of 2015, and I made a commitment to myself that I would quit that job in January of 2016, and lo and behold, I gave my resignation notice on January 21st of 2016, and I went out to be a speaker on my own. Now, fast forward to the next event that happened. Within 30 days, I got a phone call from a vice president that had been one of my mentors over the years. He called me and said, Amy, I need your help. I just went to this other medical corporation. There's no sales trainer. There's no sales training program. There's no curriculum. There's no skills. And this team is doing a terrible job selling. Is there any way you can help me out? Of course, I'm there. I was so excited because it was the first time that I had that opportunity to get my first dollars outside of corporate America as a trainer. Now, fast forward once again, because the story doesn't end there. He later went on to offer me a full-time position, and I'll be honest, I at first said, I can't go back to corporate America. I've been there, I've done that. But what I was able to do is because of writing my book, because of my Toastmasters experience, because of my Speakers Academy experience, I was able to negotiate with him and tell him that if I was going to work for him, it was going to cost this much. And I was able to negotiate, let's just say, a salary I didn't dream I would ever get to receive, but I also got a title as a Global Director of Sales Training, so I got a bigger promotion. Now, I recently left that company. Right now, I'm working for myself, and I'm doing keynote speaking and teaching and training, and I just wrote my second book, From Zero to Speaker Hero. But when I tell you my story, I want to tell you one thing. Has it been easy? No. Has it been worth it? Yes, because if you know your mission is to teach, train, inspire, whatever your personal mission is, I can't think of a better way to do it than to do it through speaking. And again, you're already in the right place in Toastmasters to get started. So let's take some time now. Does everybody have a handout? Because I think they may have cleared them in the last session. You don't have one? Or you don't have? Okay, so if you have a piece of paper, you can just take notes, and if you don't have paper, then you can listen along, and I will Each of these tips aligns with the word professional, okay? So let's get started. Number one, P stands for pick a topic. Pick a lane. What is the topic that you are going to speak about? So when I say pick a lane, I also have a saying that one of my friends, Bob, told me at NSA, niches lead to riches. Niches lead to riches. So as an example, if I told all of you I'm a sales trainer, okay, that's great. But if I told you I am a sales trainer for med tech corporations, that is a niche. Now as an example, in NSA, Illinois, I have a friend, Bill, he's also a sales trainer. But he's a sales trainer for team ticket sales. So if you say you're a motivational speaker, who is your audience? And I know some of you might now, right now, might be wondering, well, you know what, I don't really have a topic. I'm not sure what I want to talk about. Think about your lessons in your life. What wounds? What wisdom do you have? What skill do you have? What is something about yourself that is unlike anybody else? I've heard somebody say before, I'm a twin. Maybe you accomplished something that nobody else has accomplished. But I want you to know that even if you're not sure what your topic is right now, you have a topic. And I remember when I first decided to be a speaker, I was so burned out on sales. I remember telling my mentor, I can't talk about sales, I'm sick of it, I did it for years, I don't even want to think about it. But then the person said to me, you know what, Amy, though you've been in sales for 20 years, do you think maybe there are people out there that could value what you've learned? Okay, yeah, that's right. So maybe it's something you do professionally. But the most important thing is the more refined you can get in your topic, the better, because that means you're going to have less competition. R stands for review your plan. Review your plan. Create a business plan. When I say this, I think of your business plan as your roadmap to your business. And I also see a big mistake that a lot of us make in this business. We look at professional speaking as a hobby. It's not a hobby, it's a business. Whether you're working at full-time, or if you're working full-time somewhere and your dream is to start this as a side gig or a part-time gig, that's great, but treat it as a business. If you don't know how to start a business and you have no idea what a business plan is, as I recommended to the last group, you can go to Women's Business Development Center, which is wbdc.org. They have a seminar, I think it's like $10, and you don't have to be a woman to go to it, by the way. It's called Starting a Business in Illinois. And that's exactly what they talk about. They talk about how to write a business plan. But really, your business plan is everything about what's your marketing plan? Are you going to sell products? What are your revenue goals? Are you going to be an S Corp? Are you going to be an LLC? Are you going to brand your company as your first and your last name? It's all of the things that I believe help you set yourself up for success. The next tip, number 3, is S. Avoid shiny objects. Avoid shiny objects. What do I mean by avoid shiny objects? I hate to tell you all this, but anyone in this room that's ever been in the business of speaking, there are a lot of snake oil salesmen out there, okay? So when you go onto Facebook or social media and you see an advertisement that says, come to my seminar and you're going to make $100,000 next week as a professional speaker. Probably not true. Anytime I spend money on any type of educational event for speaking or training or certification, I always ask about 3 people what their experience was. Was it positive? Was it negative? I've had a couple instances. One time I was burned, one time I almost got burned. One of the times I got burned, I hired a consultant and she said, oh, Amy, I'm going to help you quit your job. I'm going to help you make big money as a speaker. It's going to be so easy. And I paid her, let's just say 4 figures. And let's just say that what she promised me and what was going to happen and what was the reality of what happened were 2 completely different things. I was also recently approached by a radio station and they wanted me to pay them $1,500 to be on these interviews and they're going to promote me and do all these great things. And I went onto Facebook, guess what I read? There were 25 or 30 other people who had also gotten the same phone call. So I just caution all of you to be careful, ask before you spend your money and pull out your hard-earned dollars, because there are places you can go. Toastmasters, National Speakers Association, Engaging Speakers is another one here in the area that you can go to get education on how to be a speaker, and I promise you you're not going to be spending that type of money on it. The next tip is F. F stands for free or fee, okay? So free or fee, what do I mean by that? I remember when I first got into this business and I thought to myself, well, I'm a professional. I'm not going to speak for free anymore. Not a very good attitude to have, because what can you think are some great ideas? Why is it good to speak for free? Experience. Yes. Practice. It's networking. You're marketing yourself. Absolutely. So my mantra is, if I'm going to speak for free somewhere, I think of it more like a promotional talk. What I do is I ask the person who's planning the event, would you write me a letter of recommendation? Will you video me? I try to get something in return for it, but I have found every one of my speaking engagements I've got that I've been paid for has been through my personal network. It may be somebody in the audience that's going to lead you to your next speaking opportunity. Now, speaking of free speaking, I also recommend that you join an advanced Toastmasters club. We have 3 of them in our district. We have Windy City Professional Speakers, we have Midwest Speaking Professionals, and we have Toastmasters on Purpose, also known as TOP. Is there one more?
Speaking of Success, Advanced Toastmasters in Glenview.
Thank you. Speaking of Success, Toastmasters in Glenview. Sorry, missed that one. So the reason I bring this up is that if you really want to be a professional speaker, doing an icebreaker or a 5 to 7 minute speech is great, but when you go to these clubs, you're going to be able to give your keynote speech, or a part of it, and you're going to get comprehensive evaluations, not just I like your body language and you need to speak up type of feedback. It's comprehensive, it's more technical, and I found in my experience, that's what I needed to take my speaking to the next level. I was a member for quite a long time before I started traveling a lot of Toastmasters on Purpose, and it really helped me to advance my speaking. Now, if you are sitting here right now saying, that's great, but Amy, I want to make money speaking right now. Okay, if you want to make money speaking right now, there's an app you can go to called Thumbtack. Thumbtack, you do pay a little bit of money for it, but it will send you speaking opportunities in your area that you can bid on or propose for. You can also go to Free Speaker. You can go to Speaker Match. You can also just Google Speaker Bureau, Speaker Agent, and you will get a list of speaker bureaus and agents in your area. Now, I want to tell you all up front, there's a little bit of a catch with it. They will hire you, and they may find opportunities, but they're going to want a percentage of your fee. So it's not 100% free, but if you really want to get paid right now, those are another opportunity to do it. But there are opportunities everywhere to speak. The bottom line is to go to places, as I heard once in my training, find butts and seats. So, associations, chamber meetings, Kiwanis, Rotary. I used to do a lot of speaking at meetup groups. I did a lot of speaking for the Women's Business Development Center. There are a lot of non-for-profits that are dying to have speakers. It's just up to you to go to the internet and to find them. So once you know your topic and know what you're going to speak about, chances are there's a lot of associations that surround the topic you're going to speak about that you can then go and target. The next is E. E stands for educate yourself on the business of speaking. Educate yourself on the business of speaking. Now, as I said earlier, one of the mistakes, and I'll admit, I made this mistake when I first got into speaking. I looked at it like as a hobby. I kind of, hobby is something that, like golf or skiing, you do it every so often. Sometimes you do it all the time. Sometimes you don't do it for 2 or 3 years. That's a hobby. This is a business. One of the best places that I've found to educate yourself on the business of speaking is National Speakers Association, Illinois Speakers Academy. And we just, Val, I know you, if you raise your hand if you've been through it, I'm just curious to see if anyone in there, I know Val's been through it, okay. So the reason I bring this up is I have gone through that academy 2 times as a student. I have now been the dean 3 times. I don't get paid to endorse NSA Illinois. But the reason I bring it up is I just have not found a better place for 6 Saturday sessions from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The fall session will probably start around September. But you can go to the NSA Illinois website. It's nsa-il.org. Again, N stands for National, S stands for Speakers, A stands for Association, -il for Illinois.org. And the other thing I'll bring up is that they also have monthly programs. It's typically on a Friday morning from 9 to 12 or 9 to 11. But what we do is we bring in speakers from around the United States that are professional, and all they talk about is, they might talk about marketing, they might talk about how to monetize your business. There's different topics every month all about how to be a better professional speaker in the business side of it, which I've continued to go to. The next idea is S, that stands for stand out. Stand out. How are you to brand yourself? Now, my books are From Zero to Speaker Hero, From Zero to Sales Hero. That's an example of a brand, but are you gonna write a book? If not, do you write a blog? You can go onto LinkedIn and just write an article. You don't have to spend money on writing a book. You can do a lot of different things to brand yourself. Do you have a one sheet? Do you have a website? But the big thing about branding yourself, especially, social media is everything today. I think we all know that. I'm also very cautious about what I put on social media. I stay away from politics. I stay away from controversial topics because let's face it, I still believe the true mantra, selling and speaking have a lot in common. People buy from whom they like and whom they trust. Energy and enthusiasm and passion are contagious. So the only things I put on my social media pages are inspiring messages. I might put myself speaking, but I always try to put something that's uplifting and positive because I think that's what people are looking for today. They're not looking to get into another political argument with somebody on social media because I know that is everywhere. You turn on the news and you can watch that. The next idea stands for L, learn to sell. Learn to sell. And you can put yourself in parentheses next to that, so learn to sell. Now, for those of you that don't know how to sell, you can read my book, From Zero to Sales Hero. But really, to me, selling is all about activity. It means, what are you going to do every day to build your business? Every day, at least one activity to build your business. And when I say that, what are you setting for yourself for goals? Are you setting weekly activity goals? How many contacts are you going to make? How many speeches are you going to give? How many free talks are you going to give? Are you going to try to give one paid speech a month? Whatever it might be. But the thing is if you're thinking about this as a business, it's going to require focus and activity. So what are you going to do every day? Now, the good news is you're all here at Toastmasters this weekend, so you're already doing something for yourself and your business. You're getting educated. You're listening to a world champion of public speaking. You're here at this session. So that's awesome. You're investing in yourself right now. The next one is I. I stands for invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. I make it a rule to myself to do at least one motivational event a quarter. I went to go see Tony Robbins last month in LA, for example. For you, some of you might say, well, I don't want to spend money, I don't want to travel. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to spend money to do something motivational. You can be involved in Toastmasters. You can watch videos on YouTube. You can read books. But what are you going to do to keep yourself in a positive mindset? Because again, as I said before, and I'll say it again, people buy and they hire people who they like and who they trust. And energy is everything, and it will attract people to you. I sincerely believe in the law of attraction. But the other thing I like about investing in myself is that I notice when I'm investing in myself, I show up as the best version of myself. It keeps me accountable. It keeps me positive because let's face it, just like any other business, you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have your good days and your bad days. But if you can develop a strong bounce back ability, I promise you will have a lot more fun even on your toughest days in this business. O stands for be open to feedback. be open to feedback. Every time I speak, whether it's free or fee, and around the room you'll see the evaluation sheets, I either give out a paper evaluation or I do a survey monkey. Why? Well, we already know being a Toastmasters how important feedback is. Feedback is a gift, but if I think about this sincerely, feedback allows me to continue to do the things I'm doing well, but if there's something I'm not doing that well, maybe it's something I said, maybe it was a technique I used, maybe it was something I set up incorrectly, I want to know about that. Because I don't want to do it again, I want to learn from that. And the best way that we can have those opportunities is through feedback. So make it a habit to ask for feedback every time you speak, whether it's Toastmasters, whether you're getting paid, it doesn't matter. Get the feedback so that you can constantly be improving. Number 10, N stands for never stop practicing your speaking. Never stop practicing your speaking. In other words, don't quit Toastmasters. You're in the right place at the right time. You've already taken the first step. Do you know, I meet people sometimes in Speakers Academy, and I say this out of all due respect, but I meet people who've never given a speech before. And they want to start a business as a professional speaker. Can you imagine trying to learn how to speak and then trying to learn how to run a business at the same time? Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's a lot to learn, okay? So what I do, even today, I make it a practice. If I'm not traveling to my Toastmasters meeting, and I see May right here, I was just at Fox Valley Toastmasters on Thursday night, and whether I'm giving a speech, or whether I'm giving table topics, or I'm the Toastmaster, or I'm the evaluator, it doesn't matter what my role is, I'm doing something at that meeting so that I'm practicing speaking in front of people. Now, I remember when I first started professional speaking, I thought, well, you know, I'm already doing all my sales talks, I don't need to go to Toastmasters anymore. Well, then I went to a meeting, and let's just say I kept the grammarian very busy because I had a lot of ums and ahs and all those verbal fossils slip back into my speech. So I know we all have a life outside these four walls. Life happens, families happen, work happens, crises, challenges. It's okay if you don't go to every single Toastmasters meeting, but get to them when you can and take a role on the agenda and work your plan as well. Now, I know in my introduction, I got the DTM award. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Was it a best learning experience and leadership I ever had? Absolutely it was. So I'm not saying you've got to get your DTM, but set some goals for yourself. Somebody asked me in the last session, how long did it take me to really be a good speaker? It took me about 2 years. I didn't stand up one day, give my icebreaker, and I was a great speaker. It took me a long time. And as we say in Toastmasters, one of the things I love about Toastmasters is that you can give a horrible speech and not get fired, right? We're here amongst friends. This is a great place to practice. And trust me, I've given some speeches that I wish I could repeat. But that's not what it's about. It's about the fact that I got up and I tried and I did it. And we all know the rewards of self-confidence. And so, stay involved. I know I sound like a broken record now, but I see professional speakers once in a while that I will just say I know they're not in Toastmasters. So you're in the right place. Stay in it. Do not quit. The next A stands for, I call this a AAA formula. Attitude, activity, accountability. Okay, so again, attitude, activity, and accountability. First of all, attitude. I think we've all heard that saying, attitude is
contagious.
Everything. Yeah, it's contagious too. So attitude is everything. And it's critical in this business because you will get challenged, I promise you. I think we've all seen technical disasters. I was sharing with the last group. One time I was at an NSA Illinois event. There was a speaker that came in from out of town. The slides she had on her laptop and the projector, let's just say they were not jiving. So during the whole presentation, she was just like this, and you know how you just feel the frustration in somebody when they're really angry and upset? I could feel that the whole time. I was sitting right up front where you ladies are sitting, and I could feel that. And I just like wanted to go and give her a hug and say it's okay. I had this happen to me a couple weeks ago. I was presenting, and I had, and for about 100 people, I had the clicker, the slide advancer in my hand. I'm doing this, and it flew across the stage, landed on the floor, batteries all over the place. And instead of going, oh my God, I can't believe this, I just smiled, and I went and I picked it up, and I kind of like put what was left of it in my pocket. But the main thing is when you're up in front of a group, who are all eyes on? Yes, all eyes are on me. So how I handle those mishaps are everything. Now, I talked already about the importance of investing in yourself. Another thing I do every day is I call it my morning ritual. Morning ritual, and I stole it from Tony Robbins. He'd probably be happy if I told all of you about it. But really, what does it mean? It means that every day I do something to get myself in the mindset. Especially if I'm speaking. I meditate, I might work out, I might read something, and on those mornings when you know you're just running out the door with your cup of coffee and you're doing good just to get out on time, I listen to something in my car. I crank up the music. Maybe I listen to Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, Les Brown. It doesn't matter, but I do something every day, even if it's just a few minutes, to get myself into that right place. Because I want to be my best in front of people. I think about this also, I call it the pig pen syndrome. Do you all know pig pen from... Yeah, from peanuts. You know, you have that cloud of dust, you know, and I don't know if it's dust or whatever it is, but, you know, I would say don't be a pig pen. Don't be the person that walks in the room and energy goes, does everybody know? You know, I know it's none of you, but you all know somebody like that I'm talking about. That's not who you want to be in the world of professional speaking. You want to be the opposite of that. You want to be magnetic. You want to bring people to you so that they want to work with you and they want to have a piece of what you have. The next thing is activity. I talked about activity, but let's face it, my friends, the numbers do not lie. If you're not practicing, if you're not reaching out to your contacts, if you're not meeting people for coffee that might be people that would hire you to speak, if you're not building a business plan, if you're not taking the steps to succeed, then it's going to be very difficult to make progress. I think of it almost, again, like selling. Selling and speaking is not a spectator sport. You don't get better by just sitting in a chair. You get better by taking action. And the last part of that is accountability. Do you blame everybody and everything when everything goes wrong? If you do, instead start practicing looking in the mirror, because I'll admit it, and I'm not perfect, I do it too. But it's really easy to blame everybody and everything when things are going wrong. And if you can't hold yourself accountable to do your activity, to do what it takes to succeed, get a coach. I've had a coach most of my career. If you don't have the money for a coach, get an accountability buddy. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's somebody else that's also in the business that's trying to get into the speaking business with you. What are you going to set for your goals and your targets? Whatever it might be. Set some accountability and don't blame everybody when things are going wrong. I remember when I first got into the business of speaking, let's just say my phone wasn't ringing a lot. And I remember thinking, it's hard, this is too tough, maybe I shouldn't have done this, maybe I'm not good enough. But again, it's so easy just to make excuses than to get off your you know what and do something about it. So that's to me what accountability is all about. Last but not least, learn from learnable moments. Learn from learnable moments. Now, I had a very big learnable moment about a week ago. Okay? And I'm going to share this because I don't want you to do the same mistake I made. Check the dates of your speaking presentation. Okay? So I had somebody that was flying me to Toronto to speak. And I had the plane reservations to fly out on Thursday morning or return Friday. I was going to, speak on Friday morning. So I'm going out for the night. It's Wednesday night, and I get a text on my phone, and their person is saying, "Where are you?" Oh my God. And I'm looking at this, and my heart, you know that film, your heart just falls down to your feet. You kind of gasp for air, and I'm thinking, okay, now I just looked at the reservation earlier because I made a change on it, and then the wheels started turning, and I'm like, oh no. So long story short, I was able to get out that night. I made a U-turn and went back to my house. And another tip, pack your bag. Never pack the bag the day you're leaving. Always pack the day before. And thankfully, I'd already packed my bag. So my bag was ready. I grabbed my bag, got Ubered at the airport, got to Toronto around midnight, got about 5 hours of sleep, spoke the next morning, nailed it. But this is an example of a learnable moment. Now, I apologized to the event planner. I said, I'm so sorry, I feel accountable. They said, no, we messed up, we made the reservations wrong. But I was accountable as well, because you know what, it would have taken me 2 seconds to see that the date of the event and the date of my tickets were 2 totally separate things. But guess what? I will never not check my dates again. I totally learnable moment from that I will never forget. So the thing that I want you to do is I want you to think about those learnable moments. I could easily be sitting here right now, a week later, thinking, oh, I could be so stupid. I could think about this and obsess about it every day, but you know what? That's not going to serve me. The only thing that's going to serve me is for me to say, hey, next time, check and double check, right? No big deal. Okay, so I just see my green is up now. We're getting close to the end. I wanted to make sure I had time for questions or comments. So again, if there's something that I didn't say that you'd like to share, if you have an idea, that would be great. And if you have a question, that's great also. So does anybody have any questions or comments? Yes?
What's the most exciting thing about trying to do speaking on your own?
I think the most exciting thing was, to me the most exciting thing about speaking is, I'll just share an example of, I spoke at a first work company. I did 7 speaking events over like 8 weeks, so I did different cities, and I saw a person, I gave it my sales keynote speech, from 0 to sales hero, and this person came up to me, probably I'd say in his 30s, and he said, you know, I'm having the hardest time, I don't think this is the right profession for me, I need help. And then, you know, we were talking a little bit, and I actually happened to have a book with me, and I just gave him my book. I said, here, read this. You know, I just wanted to give it to him because he seemed like such a kind soul for coming up to me. He showed up 2 weeks later in another city that I saw him at. He's like, I read your book. I feel so much better. I'm so glad you talked.